Hello and welcome to another episode of Not For You. And this week's episode, we're talking about starting a business with absolutely no money, $0, zero funding. You're not taking out a loan. You don't have any parents that are going to give you any money. Nobody's giving you any money, no friends, nobody. You're starting a business with $0. So, I'll get into a little bit of the background of how I started my business, the idea and the proposal before I get into the avenue of how you actually start a place, a location with no money. So, the first thing I'm going to say is you have to have a vision or a dream of what you want to do to make this money. And the way that that goes about is you're probably doing a thing that you either hate or love. If you hate it, figure out something else to do. If you love it, figure out a way to make profit off of it and figure out a way to try to make it your own. This was starting for me. Well, let me rewind it a little bit. I started my business idea because I had a professor, which is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach, a black belt. Once you become a black belt, we call you a professor. I had a professor named Dave. We call him AKA Little One. And every day I would tell him about how I was working at this gym and I was miserable. And he says, start your own gym, start your own thing. Because I did make like a 90-day video one time of me doing these transformations and getting in shape for myself to go on stage. And everybody saw it. I started this thing called the 90-day challenge. So I did that completely on my own. One day I said for 90 days, I want to do a challenge. I want to get myself in sick shape. And at the end of it, I want to go on a bodybuilding competition, a physique competition. Why I thought of this, I have no real idea. I just knew I wanted to try to do 3 months clean dieting, clean eating, exercising every day. So I came up with this concept of this 90-day challenge, right? Maybe I saw like P90X or all these different things, 90 days or 30 days. And I thought to myself, 3 months is the perfect amount of time. It was 3 months before the summer. So I made this 90-day challenge and I would post on my Facebook every day one, day two. And when I would go to jujitsu class, I'd tell everybody, say, what day is it? I'd say day 35 or day 40, day 45. So people started following me on this sort of fitness journey, if you will, this 90-day challenge. And I wasn't having other people do it. It was just something I was doing. And I put it out there as what's it called? Like I had to do it. I let people know, so it made me have to do it. I forgot the word that I'm trying to look for, but it gave me some sort of sense of like responsibility that I was telling the people I was going to do this. So I put myself out there. I didn't want to, it's one thing if I kept it to myself, but I found with putting it out there, now I had to keep my word to other people. And then people were watching. And I broke it down into 3 phases. Phase one, day 1 through 30. Phase two, day 31 through day 60. Phase three, day 60 through day 90. I'm getting better at it. I was figuring out the system, and then I took it from there. I'm trying to not say so as much on here. So if I take pauses, it's because I watched a little bit of the videos, and a lot of the times when I'm thinking, I'm going so. So if you see me pause, it's because I'm trying not to say so, and I'm trying to think of another word. I know it's ridiculous, but I'm trying to make better content, and it's annoying when you hear people all the time say like this, like, or so, and I'm trying to get better at the podcasting so I can make a better connection with you guys. And the one thing I was picking up on myself is a couple times I say a lot so, or I say or all these things. I'm working on them, so I'm gonna pause. So work with me as I come up with those pauses and I can think of something else to fill in there. But it's not as easy as you think, right? A lot of the times we use those words as leeway. With that said, there I go, instead of saying so. With that said, I would show up to the gym every day and I would do my 90-day challenge thing. Oh shit, my battery's low on the computer. So this is going to be a quicker podcast, I suppose, today. I would do my 90-day challenge and I tell them every day. So with that said, my professor Dave Little, aka Little One, would go to me every day. Why don't you start your own business, Lori Fit? Why don't you start your own thing, Lori Fit? let's do it. Let's see what you got. And then he would say, March 1st, bring me the business plan. I want to see your business plan. This is like in like maybe October. So I had a lot of time to come up with this business plan. I'm working on the business plan. The months are coming closer. November, December, January. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. Finally, March 1st hit. He goes, March 1st, where's the business plan? And I didn't have it. But I waited. I said, I wanted to do it. He gave me plenty of time. So then I ended up writing out a business plan for like March 15th. So it only took me like 2 weeks, but I had to have all that pressure, and then feel like I didn't have it on the show update. So it was very important that he gave me this thing. So I wrote down this whole thing, this whole like business plan, and I went over marketing, how I'm going to get new students, how I'm going to find a location, how all these things. The only problem was I didn't have any money to rent a space, and I didn't have any students to pay membership fees. I had to figure out how I could get a space without any money. What I did next was very important. I looked for people that were in a position that owned their own business. And the best person for me to go to was my other professor who owned the gym, Joe Scarola. With that said, I went to Joe and I asked him, I said, how do you start a business with no money? I know when he started, he was renting out of like a YMCA and setting up mats. And he had this whole issue when he was setting up before he had this beautiful facility and all these wonderful students. He told me a secret that isn't really a secret. You just have to ask, and I'm going to give it to you guys. This was the way that I started my business with absolutely $0. He said, you find a place that already has a space that they're not utilizing, and you work a percentage deal with them. You work a deal that you will pay them 30% of what you're getting paid. So 30% of the business deals you give to them, 70% you keep to yourself until you come up with a cap. So, like a rent cap that you would pay them, which would be the max amount you would pay them. And then all of a sudden, my brain started really thinking, oh, 30/70, 30/70. All I need to do now is find a space, bring them this business proposal, tell these people what I want to do, and try to get members to come to this space to start teaching the classes or building my academy. I was fortunate enough that Joe had like a punching bag, a stationary punching bag, and I had a punching bag in my garage. He said, start with this, take this punching bag. And I had one in my garage. And so I had two pieces of equipment. I had a punching bag and I had the one from my garage. So there was a stationary one and the one from my garage. Next step I had to do was find a location to ask a person who had space. My cousins told me about this gymnastics place that they trained at that always had this back room. And I knew this guy that owned the gymnastics place because my cousins were gymnasts. So that was their coach. And he's a family friend of ours. And I also trained gymnastics for like a couple months when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I've known this guy since I was a child, and I'd seen him around at the family, and I heard he had this space. I gave him a call. I came over to his location, and we talked about it, and I looked at the space, and I hit him with, I don't have money to pay you rent right now. I don't have any students, but I'm willing to do a 30-70% deal. Now, this was the game changer for me to springboard, to get money, to save, to eventually open up my own storefront. 30/70. I said to him, I will pay you 30% of student membership fees and I will keep 70. So if I make one student I sign up for $100, we'll use whole numbers. I will give you $30. I will keep $70. If I sign up 10 students and I'm making $1,000, I will give you $300 for rent and I will keep $700. If I don't have any students, I won't pay you anything. If I have, what was it, like 30 students paying $3,000, and then I will give you $2,100 and I will keep the extra. I will keep the $2,100, whatever the math is on it. But I did say if I end up getting to a point where I'm making $10,000. I have 100 students. $3,000 will be our max payment. So I will not go above that in the rent, because at that point I would be able to rent my own space, get my own facility, and things like that. He said, "Cool, when do we start?" And I was like, uh, when do we? Let's start next week. So we started in a week from then. I brought the bags in. Now all I needed to do was get the students. This wasn't as easy as you'd think it would be, but I used social media. Social media. Hey, I just got a new location. I'm starting a gym. I'm starting the business. Da 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 da. All that stuff. I literally started with $300 in my pocket that I had from a previous job, but I didn't use any of that money for the business. Sure enough, people wrote to me online, "Hey, you're starting a gym. I'd love to join. Where is it? When's the first class?" So I created a class schedule. I put that up. And I also used the front of the existing his facility to market my gym. So at the front of his gymnastics, I put up cardio kickboxing class posters, stuff like that, a sign up sheet. I would sit out there at a desk. So if you could find a business that can already funnel you in, some people, like for example, if you wanted to do a fitness class and start a fitness program, maybe you go to an already existing gymnasium at a school and you could put up posters or advertise around there. Maybe you go to a gym that has a studio in the back, just a weightlifting gym, and you start a class that you charge by the class there. The key is that you have to step forward. And yes, if you can be in a place that already has a need for something, that's going to bring you there even quicker. I was doing well. I was able to bring in people, and through social media, then building, and through the front of his place, and then word of mouth. Once you have a good service or product, the buzz starts going through the community. I also made videos that I would put up on social media, creating a buzz. Then what do you know? The first month I made about, maybe I had 5 students. So I made 500 that month, charging $100. I gave him 30 times 5, 150. And now I walked out and I had 350. The next month it doubled. I had 10 students. I gave him 300 and then I had $700. Now I was able to build a website on GoDaddy. I was able to put some of the images on. I was able to advertise the website, click here, on Facebook, Instagram, social media. So you were able to then go see an example of classes, have a little bio, have a little class schedule, and click and sign up for your free class. I had my students then share those things, and then their people would see. And I also had my students, they would film something, I would tag them, they would put it on. So it started going, the ball started rolling. Next thing you know, from 10 students getting $1,000, the next month I got 15 more extra students, and it went to 25 students. So now I was making 2,500, and 30% of that would go to the house. The rest would go to me. Then I was able to get, after about 6 months, about 35, 40 students. Now I was able to invest in more equipment. So instead of punching the air and us only working together partner drills, we were able now to get 10 heavy bags. And now the heavy bag program was starting to work. We were hitting the heavy bags. And as money was coming in, I was able to invest in treadmills, then weights. Then I was able to mat the gym. Once I was able to mat the gym, we were then able to then start to create the jiu-jitsu program. With that, we kept growing until we hit that big bump in the wall of COVID. And then that was basically like a system reset. We had to get out of the gym and get creative and start doing programs outside, at the park, all different things, from home, Zoom videos. With that being said, the most important thing is to, one, believe in the service or product you were going to start with. It doesn't have to be the finished product. You don't have to start it with that thing. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to learn. All you have to do is start with that idea, that vision. Then start with that 30, 70% rate of investment for a space if you're looking to get a space. So 30, 70, make that deal. 30, 70. Okay, you can make this deal with a lot of different things. Then as you slowly grow, you're going to start to see your idea might have sounded great on paper, but there's going to be a lot of kinks, a lot of things that you couldn't take into consideration until they actually happen. It's okay. You're getting started. Get started this way. If you have an idea, if it needs a location, but you can't afford a location, if you have a product or a service. Now, you can't start every business like this, but you can start with a small prototype. It doesn't have to be, if you're trying to sell an item, you can come up with the concept of the item, and I'm sure there's a way that you can sell it, then get the funding to actually create it. But coming up with a prototype doesn't mean you're coming up with the 5.0 version. First, you have to create the 1.0 version. Then, as you get better, the 2.0, then the 3.0, the 4.0. So don't get discouraged when you think, I have to come up with the finalized product or the finalized thing. Just come up with the blank canvas first, and then from there, you will figure out how to get from 1.0 to 2.0, from 2.0 to 3.0, all the way up. And this is the process that has worked best for me. I realized you do want to start big, right? But I never wanted to take out loans because, one, I didn't have the credit to. Two, I felt like if it didn't happen, I wanted to put the pressure on me. I didn't want to have to owe banks money or anything like that. Be creative, come up with your concept, write it down, have a little outline of what you want to do. Think of something that you can do for 10 years. Don't think I just want to make quick money here, quick. Think of something that you can actually do for 10 years, because a lot of the things are going to require refining it. If not, if it's not a 10-year process, then think of, as an entrepreneur now, think of something that you can make blow up in a year and then sell it to a bigger corporation or a bigger person or a bigger thing. Because as you'll see, that first year, your business has absolute growth. That first year, it went from 0 to 30 students. It went up right away. Then it might plateau, then it could drop, then back up, then up and up. So there's going to be all process. But that first year, there can be a lot of exponential growth. If you have to be clear of what your vision is. If your vision is you want to sell your product after a year, I want to create a beverage that after 1 year of sales are so good, then I could bring it to a Coca-Cola, a PepsiCo, then that's your vision, just to go a year entrepreneur, year. My vision was more to create a system that can be there, and I can see a whole gloving system, like a belting system in jiu-jitsu, that I can follow a 10-year process from white to blue to purple to silver to gold gloves and work out all the kinks and see where it goes from there. I was on the long haul. I understood that for me to do one of these things that might take off quickly in like a year, probably would take a cash flow or a loan. And I didn't have the business mindset for that at that time. Now, as I'm seeing how business works and how the country works and how money works, mine was more about passion. But if your goal is to just make money, then there are different ways to go about it. If you're looking to get a storefront, start a program, start a system, a long-term thing, and listen, you can sell your program to a higher up. You can sell your system to a higher up, but they're going to want proof of concept. And proof of concept, you're not going to want just 1 year. Usually, you're going to want to see the patterns over a decade to see that that proof of concept really works. Because like I said, a lot of businesses boom that first year. If you could have a booming business that first year and a corporation or a person can actually see a vision of where that's going to go and they want to take it, or you're going to be a competitor against them, they might just buy you out. For me, I was thinking more of the long haul. I wasn't thinking of selling my product or service. I was thinking about building a strong foundation, and through that ocean, creating other streams and rivers of revenue for myself. And as I got better in business and more of understanding of how the market works and how people work, you could start thinking about future endeavors and other prospective business propositions. But for now, if you're just getting started, a kid with no money, $0, want to start a business, 30-70. 30 goes to the house, 70 goes to you. Write down a real business proposition. Go to somebody who has a room for rent, a kitchen for rent, whatever they have, an empty space. Convince them that, hey, I'm willing to give you money if I make money. Take a chance on me. Let's see if it grows. We can grow together, and you got nothing to lose. All right, so give it a go. With that said, 30-70 is the way. Maybe it worked for you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the podcast is for you. Maybe it's not for you. But give it a try. Come up with a concept. And now at least I'm putting that idea in your head. 30-70. Could work. Could not work. Up to you. to figure out the ins and outs. If you're passionate about what you're doing, you will always find a way. If the market isn't where you're going for it, if you figure out, I have this great idea, but you want to know what? The market for bathing suits or the market for sunscreen isn't as good as the market for bathing suits and sunscreen is in Miami. Maybe you have the right idea, but not the correct location. But you're going to figure this out. You're going to get the money that you need to springboard for the right thing. I love cowboy hats. I want to sell cowboy hats. Okay, I'm passionate about cowboy hats, but maybe cowboy hats aren't selling as much on Long Island as they would in, some place in Texas. You're going to have an understanding of geography, geographic location, market, all those things. You want to sell winter coats. You're selling big, heavy winter coats, but you're selling them in Puerto Rico. Maybe that's not where the market is. Maybe you should go at Vermont, Vermont. So you're starting to understand that sort of stuff. The sooner you could understand that, the sooner you could start to come up with the game plan. But maybe you want to start that coat company, but you don't have the money to go to Vermont. Maybe you live in Puerto Rico. So you figure out a little different other thing. You are still selling coats, but maybe now you're selling raincoats because it rains a lot there. Or maybe you're selling some sort of other product or service that could springboard you to get the money to eventually get you to that destination where the marketplace may be. But the beautiful thing is now we have online. So online, the market could be anywhere. Once you come up with your shipping and processing program, now you might say, I don't have the product, I don't have the location to hold it. Look into Amazon, look into drop shipping. Do research in what you want to do, research development, but don't get discouraged when the research says this is the best place. Yeah, you might not be in the best place. You might not have funds to be in the best place, but start with what you got. I'm telling you, you can start with $0 and you're going to build momentum. That's the key here, is that you're building momentum towards a bigger goal, which is eventually to take the business to X, Y, and Z. And you'll have that written down on the business plan. I want to make it into a franchise outside college campuses so everybody could come and work the system and they can get credits towards their school for for physical classes, right? Small credits, and then they're getting the gloving system. Whatever it is, write it down, have that vision. You don't know how you're going to get there, but you have to start some way. 30/70, if you're looking for a physical location, you could start online with little to no money, figure out a way to get a website. They're pretty cheap. Figure it out. And that's all I got to say about that. If you have any questions, comments, please comment, like. I know this one wasn't as funny or as